How much does the whole system need? Am I going to need like the whole system's worth?
Yeah, because you want to put Z32 calipers on the front. This is, you're stuck on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. Right. And you blow a brake line and need to make it home. So what we're doing is we're trying to flatten this out, and then we're going to cut it, and then we're going to start folding it back on itself. But the line is soft, but it's still a little bit brittle, so we have to go over it and over it a few times, otherwise we're just going to fracture the line. Okay, so now we're flat, so now we can cut the line. Cut our line, and it'll still leak a little bit.
A lot less than I thought.
Because we had a physical break in the line down the road, we've just crimped this shut so that when it actually has the brakes applied, it's not just spewing fuel out the end.
So in the first chapter, my friends at Grassroots Performance helped me out with reliability, but there was still a couple things left to go. Number one, we had to stop reliably. So as much as the car could still stop, it wasn't stopping that great, and the tiny brakes and rotors just weren't able to handle what we were doing with the car. So we decided to do a very popular upgrade for S chassis, which is Z32 brake rotors and calipers. This gives me a little bit more stopping power and some style points as well. So our original intention was to just do the brake rotors and the calipers, but upon further inspection of my brake lines, we found out we needed to overhaul most of the system.
While this is up here, I should just be twisting this coil over and slam this and then get stuck in the shop.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So first thing you're going to want to do is add the new stainless braided line into the caliper. That way when we crack the line and put this one on, we're going to lose the least amount of brake fluid and make the least amount of mess possible. So what you're going to want to do is unbolt the OEM caliper. Once it's off, you can pull the rotor off.
Thank you.
Okay, remove our old caliper system. If you want to pass me the new one.
Yeah, this fancy new Z32 caliper. Pretty Nissan lettering.
Fortunately, this car doesn't have the regular Nissan 240 cancer, especially for a Canadian car.
I lucked out this time around.
Where's this one from?
Ultimately, I don't know where it started life. It's had 13 to 16 previous owners, give or take.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Here, let me attach this further here. This will have a shot of me being productive.
So with reliability and comfort well on the way, with still lots left to do, the last thing to look at is style. Style is subjective for everybody, but it doesn't take a genius to see that this car needs a lot of work to look good.
Okay, you're only going to take it off about 3/4 of the way. Because we don't have the right tool here, you then have to reef the steering wheel back and forth. And if you don't have the nut on there at all, when it comes free, it's going to smash you in the face.
Okay.
The idea is to not smash yourself in the face, so only take this off about 3/4 of the way.
Hey Frost, how does this go on? Yeah, just the nut, and then the wire goes like easy as it looks.
Sort of.
Male to female on both sides.
Are your wheels currently straight?
Asking the big questions.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so
This would be on top, right?
correct. So you want the way it is on your steering wheel, is that the bolt is at the top.
Yeah.
So during the creation of Chapter 2, we've addressed style in a couple ways. In addition to the steering wheel, we've also lowered the car just a little bit. The back is almost where I want it, but because of the coilovers that came on the car, I have a bit of a reverse rake going, and the front height just isn't where I want it to be just yet. With the installation of HIDs, the car looks great rolling at night, especially when you can't see the paint job on it. Moving forward, style is one thing we definitely have to address, and there's a lot more to go down this road. Comfort is a pretty wide array of things when it comes to a car, but for me, I'm most comfortable when I have music while driving. So one of the first things we had to do with lots of my parts on order from Japan is to get a sound system into the car. Thanks to my friends at Clarion, we've got everything we need to make this work. So, right now, the goal is to get my old 1990 speakers out of their housing so we can put my sweet Clarion 4x6 speakers into these housings and secure them in the door. Just the fact that 4x6 speakers fit really well up front after a little bit of modification to the housing. So now we've got audio front and rear. Wiring waiting to go up to the deck. But in the meantime, we're going to put the door cards on to make this look a little more together. So thankfully for me, Clarion makes really cool 4x6 speakers, which are actually really hard to come by, but they happen to be the factory sizes for the 240 front and rear. So we managed to get those in, thanks to my buddy Mike at GT Custom Exhaust. And now we're gonna dress it up with some plastic cover so it doesn't look so haggard. That's me working on a car. So, walk me through the wiring process between amp, subwoofer, and power here.
So we're just connecting the powers and grounds for the amp right now, and I'm just bridging them into one nice connection with some of the wire that we have. And then there's the remote that I already put off of that goes from the deck, and it just turns on the amp when you turn the keys, and your deck turns on. It tells the deck this to turn on, because this is just pure battery power. And it already has fuses built into it.
Oh, that's
because you need fuses.
Thanks, Clarion.
Thanks.
All right. So, Clarion was nice enough to send me their brand new NX807, which is their newest and flashiest double-din head unit. It's got navigation and Apple CarPlay and just about all the bells and whistles you can ask for in a multimedia head unit. So hyped. Never been more hyped. It's not even gonna go back there because of all the wires.
There's so much. Oh, I think this is the name that it'll say to you. Maybe.
No f***ing chance.
Well, because it goes swag daddy.
Swag.
Hopefully it says it. Maximum speed.
Yeah, proper. I guess that's too bright for nighttime in the car. That's cool. Pair me up. Available devices NX. Oh yes.
I just have to return it.
Passkey swag daddy is attempting to connect. It doesn't say that. I wish. Oh, bud. So now that we've got everything installed, I've had a chance to play with the head unit for a while. And I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. Thanks, Clarion. So as you can see, it's got every feature in the book, page by page, as we scroll through here. And what's really nice is if you're like me and you don't have a radio tuner left in your car, you can kind of adjust these things. So the tuner used to be up front, but simply by holding on one of these and moving it around, you can adjust and lay it out for what you use the most. So for me, Bluetooth audio, USB, iPod, and of course my favorite, navigation. If you're directionally challenged like me, this is a big feature. You can turn your display off if you're driving at night and you just want your screen out of the way. It's also got a bunch of cool things like night and day mode, which I've just turned on and now I can't see. The unit is really customizable. As you can see, I've set my illumination to be blue just to base it around the theme that I'm going for later in the build. You can customize the image in the background screen. There's a bunch in their library, and you can also import an image thanks to a couple of features. You can have a micro SD card, HDMI set up through the back, DVDs, and all sorts of inputs. You may notice that none of them are on the front to keep things streamlined. It's just buttons here. All the connections are either in behind the dashboard or behind the unit itself when you eject. Now, because Clarion supplied us with everything we need, including the front and rear door speakers, as well as a subwoofer, The EQ portion of this head unit is very integrated. You can just about adjust anything on the car. I don't really know what I'm doing with most of these features, but I'm excited to learn about it as time goes on. I know how to control my subwoofer, so when I need more and less bass, that's a touch of a button away. So the whole setup back here is fairly simple. From the battery, we've hooked up the amplifier and the subwoofer, which both run through a concealed cable under the carpet, under the seats, and up to the head unit up front, as well as all the speakers on each side. I've left this one exposed so you can take a look. Because Michael was thinking ahead during the install, he installed and created a sweet little bracket which holds my strut tower brace. So this subwoofer isn't going anywhere no matter how hard we drive this thing. For now, winter is coming, and with salted roads and snow coming our way, this car is going to spend a little bit of time in hibernation. When it comes out next spring, we're going to be going full force into style, comfort, and reliability yet again, because those are the overarching themes of this build.